On this video, I'm gonna show you the 10 things that you should watch out for. These are massive red flags on your first flip. What's going on? My name is Bill Allen. I am a military pilot turned full-time real estate investor. I've been flipping and wholesaling houses for the last 7 or 8 years, and I've done over 800 deals. So I know a thing or two about red flags, and I have had a lot of these. I have screwed this up massively so I can make this list for you. It has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars out of my pocket to make this list for you so you don't have to learn these same things the hard way with your money. The first one I want to talk about is neighborhood. A lot of times what we do is we have a certain amount of money and a budget for this house that we can buy and renovate. And so we'll look for something kind of cheap. So bad neighborhood is going to be the worst possible thing that you can do for your first flip or any flip, frankly. Just buying a house because that's your price point, and next thing you know, you end up in a rental area that nobody has good enough credit, is not looking for, and it's just not a popular neighborhood. This is a massive red flag when somebody sends you a house and it's just in a bad neighborhood. The next one is liens and judgments. So a lot of times what to look out for is that there are some recorded liens on the property. So when you are buying this house, you absolutely need to get a title search, because if you don't, these things might pop up that you don't even think about. So there is a code violation lien or some sort of lien on the property. A lot of times you can see that. So something to look out for when you walk up to the property is if there's like sticker on the door, or there's a tag and a sticker on the power meter, or there's code violations, or there's massive overgrowth, and you can see that this house has been a massive issue for the neighborhood for a long period of time. Huge red flag if you see any of those things. Stickers on the doors, stickers on the mailbox, cards in the mailbox, stickers on the power meter or the water meter, or things like that. The next thing to look out for is the neighbor's house. So I can't tell you how many times I've been to a house, I've walked it, it's been incredible, and I walked it at the exact same time every single day. I wasn't there in the morning, I wasn't there in the evening. And then after I bought the house, we were renovating it, and my contractor would call me and say, hey, do you know that there's like a vicious dog here every morning or evening, or the dog's barking nonstop after 5 o'clock? Or there's a bunch of cars up on blocks and really loud music in the evenings after work. This guy's working on his car next door every single day, playing really loud music. It's horrible. Or I would go at a different time. So my recommendation for you guys is to try to go at different times as you go to the house or drive by. Look at the neighbors' houses, at least on each side, and say, like, how's the condition of the neighbor's house? Do they have a dog? Do they have cats? Like, what does that look like? What's the buyer of that house going to think when they buy it? So that's a huge red flag, is the neighbor's house, and it's just kind of across the street, two next door, and the two catty corner to the house. That's kind of the area that I look at of, like, how could these neighbors affect a showing in the future? And what you want to do is think about it as a buyer walking through that house in the future. One that has really bit me in the past are train tracks. I had a house, a beautiful luxury house in Pensacola, that had train tracks basically running right in front of the house. I didn't think it was a big deal. It was on the water, had a beautiful pool, massive house. I thought we were going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit. Ended up losing $70,000 on that house. And the specific feedback on that house was that the train tracks, they were worried about the train tracks. I dismissed it because the train doesn't even run very much anymore. It runs like maybe a couple times a week, that's it. But they didn't know that. We even included the train schedule and everything like that, and they didn't care. And that was a massive, massive issue. So watch out for trains. This house was on HGTV. It was on an episode of Beach Hunters, and we still lost $70,000 on it. It's crazy. So train tracks are a huge turnoff for buyers, so watch out for that. The next one is additions. So as you're walking through a house, you might see like an add-on or a garage conversion and things like that. Maybe it's a patio out back that was refinished and enclosed and things like that. So what you need to watch out for is unpermitted additions. So this could be a huge red flag. When I see that, I'm always wondering if they did it to code, if they got it permitted, those kind of things. So I'll always try to go down to the county's office and pull permits on that and see if they permitted that space, if it's showing up as finished square footage in the county, or if it's still unfinished square footage because they didn't pull the permits and change it over in the county records. So that is a big red flag for me, and something that can really bite you, because when you go to sell that property, the buyer is going to want to know if you permitted. They're going to think that you did the work. Even if you didn't do the work, if it was already done, they're going to look for permits, and it's going to be your problem to supply those permits and sell it as unfinished, like unpermitted square footage instead of finished permitted square footage. So definitely do that due diligence on the buy, and that's a big red flag. The next one is areas and qualities of the property that are different than all the other subject properties in the area. And what I mean by that, this can be a lot of things. Let's say every house in that neighborhood has a 2-car garage and yours has a 1-car garage or no garage. Or if all the other houses in the neighborhood are single-story houses and yours is a 2-story house, which might have more square footage. These are things that could potentially be a red flag. I'm not saying they have to be, but they absolutely can. So if all your subject properties that you're looking at when you're comping this out for the after repair value have 2-car garages and yours doesn't have a garage, not only are you gonna have to discount the after repair value of it, but they might not even want to buy it in that neighborhood. That might be a necessary item. Or maybe everybody has a 1-car garage and you have a carport. That's going to be a big difference. On the flip side, it could be good if everybody has a carport and you have a 1-car garage. But the red flag is taking a step down in class, basically, of the home. And maybe they're all 2-story houses and yours is 1-story. So if the ducks don't look like the other, something might be off and could potentially be a red flag. The next one is really expensive or really cheap houses. So when I'm buying my first flip, and I'm telling you guys about your first flips, right? I want you to stay out of the really expensive and really cheap areas and really stay in that median home price, okay? So a red flag could be, I'm gonna do my first flip as a luxury home in an area that has a median home price of $200,000, I'm gonna go do an $800,000 house. Or if there's a median home price of $200,000, I'm gonna go do a $50,000 house like I talked about on the first one in that neighborhood, bad neighborhood. So don't buy the best house in the worst neighborhood. I see a lot of people do that. They go into a neighborhood that are predominantly 1,500 square foot houses and they find one that's cheap and it's 2,500 square feet. It's twice the size maybe of all the other houses in the neighborhood. We had one just like this. We had a house that was like an 8-bedroom, 5-bath house in a neighborhood. It just didn't make sense. We fixed it up and we had a lot of trouble moving it. It just didn't fit any of the families and anybody that was coming through to look at houses in that neighborhood. So we bought the best house, like the biggest, it wasn't the best, but it was when we were done with it, the biggest house in the worst neighborhood basically. So big mistake, don't do that. The next one is hidden issues. So a lot of time, what you'll find is in these houses, there might be some things that are covered up. So when we're renovating houses, we start pulling things out. We might take down a wall or open up the kitchen. And next thing you know, we're pulling things out, not seeing things, and we have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. We've done this a ton. We went to just fix some soft flooring, and we pulled up the flooring, and then all the subfloor was all dry rotted. We pulled that up, and now there were termites eating the main support beam of the floor. And so what you got to watch out for is all of these hidden things. As a house flipper, when we start opening up walls and opening things up, you're going to find a lot more. So the more work that's needed, the more hidden things that could be found, this could potentially be red flags. I'd say soft flooring. I would say if it looks like it's just been covered up, like something is, I walked through a house the other day and there was a bunch of water spots on the ceiling, and then I looked right around a door and there was all this fresh drywall that was sanded down, and I put my hand on it, all this drywall was fresh. They were trying to cover something up there that had been happening probably for a long period of time. Might have been a roof leak, might have been a leak in a water heater, an air conditioning unit, a toilet. Lots of different things could be happening, but behind that, when I opened that up, there could be mold back there. There could be a lot of water damage. So I had to put in a contingency for that and then ask them about it. So watch out for hidden things that are kind of being covered up. The next one is busy roads. So this is a huge one. Buying on a very busy road, like a 4-lane road, a double yellow road, right there, that's gonna be a challenge. The majority of houses and people that are out looking there are probably families, depending on price point, but those busy roads are definitely going to adjust your after repair value down significantly. People just don't want to live on busy roads. You talk about getting out of your driveway for work, playing in the street for your kids or your family, safety, all of those things. The other thing is when you look at different areas and comparables, that main roads are usually the cutoff point. So if you're on that main road, you could be part of one area or you could be part of the other. It's really hard to kind of define the neighborhood with those houses that are on the busy main roads. So watch out for that. Much like power lines, busy roads can also be a major red flag and a major issue when it comes to selling the house. Remember, all of this stuff is about what it's going to look like after we fix it up and when we turn around to sell it. So what is it going to look like when that buyer comes? Don't just look at the house as numbers, look at it as a big picture. This is what a buyer is going to see when they come buy the house after you fix it up. The last one is big ticket items. This is a big red flag when I'm walking through. If a house needs a roof, if it needs a new HVAC system, all new electrical wiring, all new plumbing and foundation work. These are the areas that I look for, kind of these 5 big areas. And if it needs lots of them, then I know this house is got other problems going on. So if all I need to do is fix a roof, not a huge deal. But these are big red flags. Watch out for these, and it's things that first-time flippers usually miss, these big ticket items that can really crush the budget. A brand new roof can crush the budget if it's not in there. A brand new rewire of an entire house. Maybe it has aluminum wiring and you don't know what aluminum wiring is. You have to rewire the entire house. It could have all new plumbing that it needs. So maybe it has some older plumbing that is, there's a couple different types of plumbing that are huge issues in houses, right? Same thing with the HVAC system. Maybe it's got an old HVAC system and it needs a compressor and an evaporator, and you're in big trouble. And maybe it has a boiler too, and you're replacing all of that stuff. So just watch out for that. Big ticket items are a huge red flag on these houses. So these are the 10 areas that I look out for as big red flags for me and first-time flippers. So I hope this helps. We've lost a lot of money missing some of these things, so I know that it's going to help you going forward on your first flip. Now that you know the 10 areas to look out for, check out my next video where I show you the 10 areas that are all systems go, green flags, amazing things to look at for your first flip.